Hare Krishna to all dear devotees. Hare Krishna Swamini Gopi Mataji, Dandottanam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Mataji, whenever you are ready, you can please start, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangri. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, verses 12 to 27. The stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma. Text 12. O Maharaj Parikshit, while the cowherd boys, who knew nothing within the core of their hearts but Krishna, were thus engaged in eating their lunch in the forest, the calves went far away, deep into the forest, being allured by green grass. Text 13. When Krishna saw that his friends, the cowherd boys, were frightened, he, the fearless controller even of fear itself, said, just to mitigate their fear, my dear friends, do not stop eating. I shall bring your calves back to this spot by personally going after them myself. Text 14. Let me go and search for the calves. Krishna said, don't disturb your enjoyment. Then, carrying his yogurt and rice in his hand, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, immediately went out to search for the calves and his friends, calves of his friends. To please his friends, he began searching in all the mountains, mountain caves, bushes, and narrow passages. Text 15. O Maharaj Parikshit, Brahma, who resides in the higher planetary systems in the sky, he observed the activities of the most powerful Krishna in the killing of delivering Agasura, and he was astonished. Now, the same Brahma wanted to show some of his own power and see the power of Krishna, who was engaged in his childhood pastime, playing as if with ordinary cowherd boys. Therefore, in Krishna's absence, Brahma took all the boys and calves to another place. Thus, he became entangled, for it is very near. Further, he would see how powerful Krishna was. Text 16. Thereafter, when Krishna was unable to find the calves, he returned to the bank of the river, but there he was also unable to see the cowherd boys. Thus he began to search for both the calves and the boys, as if he could not understand what had happened. Text 17. When Krishna was unable to find the calves and their caretakers, the cowherd boys, anywhere in the forest, he could suddenly understand that this was the work of Lord Brahma. Text 18. Thereafter, just to create pleasure both for Brahma and for the mothers of the calves and the cowherd boys, Krishna, the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, expanded himself as calves and boys. Text 19. By his Vasudeva future, Krishna simultaneously expanded himself into the exact number of missing cowherd boys and calves, with their exact bodily futures, their particular type of hands, legs, and other limbs, their sticks, bugles, and flutes, their lunch boxes, their particular type of dress, and ornaments placed in various ways, their names, age, and forms, and their special activities and characteristics. By expanding himself in this way, beautiful Krishna proved the statement Samagra Jagat Vishnu Mayam. Lord Vishnu is all pervading. Text 20. now expanding himself so as to appear as all the calves and the cowhead boys, all of them as they were, and at the same time appear as their leader. Krishna entered Rajabhumi, the land of his father Nanda Maharaja, just as he usually did while enjoying their company. Text 21. O Maharaj Parikshit, Krishna, who had divided himself as different calves and also as different cowhead boys, entered different cowsheds and as calves and then different homes as different boys. Text 22. The mothers of the boys, upon hearing the sounds of the flutes and bugles being played by their sons, immediately rose from their household tasks, lifted their boys into their laps, embraced them with both arms, and began to feed them with their breast milk, which flowed forth because of the extreme love specifically for Krishna. Actually, Krishna is everything, but at that time, expressing extreme love and affection, they took special pleasure in feeding Krishna, the Parabrahman, the Krishna, and Krishna drank the milk from his respective mothers as if they were a nectarian beverage. Text 23. Thereafter, O Maharaj Parikshit, as required according to the scheduled round of his pastimes, Krishna returned in the evening, entered the houses of each of the cowhead boys, and engaged exactly like the former boys. Thus, enlivening their mothers with transcendental pleasure, the mothers took care of the boys by massaging them with oil, bathing them, smearing their bodies with sandalwood pulp, decorating them with ornaments, chanting protective mantras, decorating their bodies with tilak, and giving them food. In this way, the mother served Krishna personally. Text 24. Thereafter, all the cows entered their different sheds and began mooing loudly, calling for their respective calves. When the calves arrived, the mothers began licking their calves' bodies again and again and profusely feeding them with the milk flowing from their milk bags. Text 25. Previously, from the very beginning, the gopis had motherly affection for Krishna. Indeed, their affections for Krishna exceeded even their affection for their own sons. In displaying their affection, they had thus distinguished between Krishna and their sons. But now that distinction disappeared. Text 26. Although the inhabitant of Rajabhrumi, the cowhead men and the cowhead women, previously had more affection for Krishna than for their own children. Now, for 1 year, their affection for their own sons continuously increased. For Krishna had now become their son. There was no limit to the increment of their affection for their sons who were now Krishna. Every day they found new inspiration for loving their children as much as they loved Krishna. Text 27. In this way, Lord Sri Krishna, having himself become the cowhead boys and a group of calves, maintained himself by himself. Thus, he continued his pastimes both in the Vrindavana and in the forest for 1 year. Thank you very much, Prabhujis and Matajis. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Swamini Mataji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for reading today's verses. And Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are going to discuss the chapter 13 of Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto. And before we start the prayers, we will start with the prayers and we will continue where we have heard in our previous class from chapter 13, 12th verse. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। we heard in our previous class about how Sukadeva Goswami appreciated the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj in the inquiring about the reason for these cowherd boys to inform the parents, the Gopas and Gopis, the parents, about the Aghasura's killing after 1 year after the incident. So why is that? So that question actually invoked so much of, we heard that it invoked so much of ecstasy in Sukadeva Goswami as the pastime of this Brahma Vimohana Lila started appearing in his mind. And he immediately started expressing his thankfulness and continued the narration with so much joy and jubilation. And he said that this is the ever fresh nature of Krishna's pastimes and devotees' abilities to relish them. You are one such exalted devotee who could relish this Krishna's pastime newer and newer every time. Unless we have this ability to relish the pastime of Krishna, no matter who speaks, no matter how many times we hear the same pastime, it appears fresh and fresh. That is the indication of progress in our bhakti. And Krishna's loving exchanges with the Gopas during the lunch we have heard. Now what happens from 12th verse we will see. So in the 12th verse, Bhara, O Maharaja Parikshit, while the cowherd boys who knew nothing within the core of their hearts but Krishna were thus engaged in eating their lunch in the forest, the calves went away, far, far away, deep into the forest, being allured by the green grass. You can see how beautifully this pastime is manifesting. There is already green grass, and the calves are interested to become more greedy and trying to find better green lush grass than already what is there. And now, while the boys were thus eating, it is mentioned in 13th verse, Krishnasya bhibhayam mitrani asan ma viramate. And Krishna saw that his friends, cowherd boys, were frightened. The pastime started with one word, that Bharat Bharataivam Vatsapeshu Bhunjaneshu Achyutatmashu Vatsastu Antarvane Duram Vishnus Trunalobhitaha. And Bhaya Santrashtan. In the 13th verse, it is immediately mentioned that these cowherd boys who were enjoying thus far immediately started becoming anxious, and they become Bhaya Santrashtan. They become fearful, disturbed suddenly within the dense forest, where the animals could attack our calves. What will happen to them? Some ferocious animal might come and attack them and kill them. Oh, where are these calves? Suddenly, where did they go? Like that, everybody started becoming fearful. And Krishna observed it. That's why it is mentioned when Krishna saw that his friends, cowherd boys, were frightened, he, the fierce controller even of fear itself, said, just to mitigate their fear. Immediately he tried to mitigate their fear with consoling words. My dear friends, do not stop eating. I shall bring your calves back to this spot by personally going after them myself. As you can see, Krishna himself is only a 5-year-old boy, maybe now 6-year-old. And the rest of the boys are also 6-year-old. You see the confidence they have on 5 or 6-year-old child, because Krishna is acting in a way that they always have that confidence in him. And of course, they don't recognize his godliness. They only recognize that he's the protector when there is a danger. That is the expression of Vrindavanvasis, affection and relation of Vrindavanvasis with Krishna. It is very unique. Krishna is the supreme controller, Prabhupada says. Krishna is the supreme controller, the controller of even death. And which is supposed to be even the death, which is supposed to be the ultimate fear in this world, is controlled by Krishna. Bhayam dvitiya nivesha tasyat. The fear arises in this material world because of lack of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says. It is just due to lack of Krishna consciousness, fear arises in the heart. Otherwise, there cannot be fear. For one who has taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, this material world of fear becomes hardly dangerous at all. As it is mentioned, Bhavam Buddhir in that verse, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse. Padam padam yet vipadam na tesham. That big ocean, Bhavambudhi, the material world compared with a big dangerous ocean, which is unable, which cannot be crossed over, nor there is a shore to take shelter at, and someone who cannot be drowned as well. Someone cannot stay in water for a long when we go for a sailing. Similarly, someone who came to material world cannot stay there for long. It is unnatural for the soul, spirit soul. And this is not a terrain where we are accustomed to swim and live like a fish who is natural inhabitant in water. A spirit soul can never stay long enough in who is a human being cannot stay long enough. Similarly, in water bodies. Similarly, a spirit soul cannot stay long enough in material world. And because it's full of dangers. We don't know when the ocean will become ferocious and will be drowned and suffering. That's why it is mentioned that the fear of this material world, bhayam, is actually due to lack of Krishna consciousness. We are continuing this material world. And samashritaye padapallava plavam. But when we take the shelter of that boat, which is a lotus feet of Lord Krishna, then we can cross over. Then we can cross over with the help of a guru, the captain of that ship. So like that, everyone therefore should take shelter of Supreme Person who is the source of fearlessness and thus be secure. 14th verse, it is described, Atmavatsakan Sapani Kavayo. So these are the two important keywords. We'll see why they are important keywords. So he did not leave his curd rice, right? It is described, though Krishna went to search out for the cowherd boys, he did not throw away the curd rice he was eating. He was still holding it. Oh, let me search and also eat while I am searching the calves. That's what his mood was. Sapani kavayo yayo. Yogut rice is still in his hand. That's what it means. And also, he thought of eating a little while searching. He thought calves as his own. That's why he even cared to go and search for the calves. He thought they are his own calves, though they belong to the cowherd boys, the other Gopa boys' calves. He still considered all these calves as his own. That's why it is mentioned Atmavatsakan. So in 15th verse, Brahma wanted to test Krishna's power by his own power. It is described. Ambo, it is a beautiful verse. Let me also recite this. Ambo janma janaistadantaraгато mayarbhakasyetishitur drashtum manju mahittamanyadapita vatsanito vatsapan nitvan yatra kurudvaha antardadhat he avasthito yah pura दृष्ट्वा घासुरमोक्षणं प्रभवतः प्राप्तः परम विस्मयम्. This beautiful verse, it is explained, O Maharaja Parikshit and O Anga, I think it is mentioned, Maharaja Parikshit, so far now Sukadeva Goswami, who is narrating the pastime of this beginning of this Brahma Vai Mohana Lila, he became so overwhelmed that he started addressing, "Oh Parikshit." Now you know what happened? Like that, it is indicated here. That is how our Acharyas described it. What is mentioned here? "O Maharaja Parikshit, Brahma who resides in the higher planetary system in the sky, Praptan Param, uh, and where is it mentioned? He Avastito Yah Pura, the one who stays in the Antariksha, above the higher planetary systems, up in the higher planetary systems. That person who stays there, who is that Brahma, who resides in a higher planetary system in the sky, had observed the activities of most powerful Krishna in killing and delivering Aghasura, and he was astonished. That's why it is mentioned, Dushtvagasura Mokshanam Prabhavataha Praptaha Param Vismayam. Therefore, Brahma wanted to show some of his own power. See that the power of Krishna, who was engaged in his childhood pastimes, playing as if he is an ordinary cowherd boy. Therefore, in Krishna's absence, Brahma took all the boys and calves to another place, thus became entangled, for in the very future he would see how powerful Krishna was. It is also indicated in the future he would see how powerful Krishna would become. Drashtum manju mahitva manyadapi tad vatsan ito vatsapan. The cowherd boy Vatsapan, who is the caretaker of these vatsas, all the calves, will now, he thought like, let me see how powerful he is. But what happened? He will in future, it is also hinted here indirectly, that Drashtum, he himself will see how powerful Krishna is in future. Thus he became, Brahma was astonished to see that he killed Aghasura wonderfully, and he protected all the cowherd boys. At the same time, he was astonished when he witnessed that pastime. And thus he became entangled in Krishna Maya. Now the curiosity led him to become entangled in his Maya. And anyone born through the material energy must be subject to the four material deficiencies. Here Brahma mistook Krishna to be ordinary a cowherd boy for some time. That's why Prabhupada is making a statement. Anyone born in this through this material energy, including Lord Brahma, must be subject to the four material defects: the tendency to commit mistake, the tendency to be illusioned, the tendency to cheat, and the imperfect senses. These are the four defects that all these living entities who manifested in this material world through the material energy are subjected to. Thus, Brahma also became entangled. Brahma wanted to take away Krishna's associates, but instead he took away some other boys and calves. Prabhupada says. Ravana wanted, it is contrasted with another pastime. Ravana wanted to take away Sita, but that was impossible. And instead he took away Maya Sita. That was a similar comparison done here. Brahma took away Mayarbhaka, boys manifested by Krishna's Maya. That means external energy. Brahma could show some extraordinary opulence. Mayarbhaka Ishitu, he wanted to show his Isha's, his power of controlling power. But actually, he got overcome by Krishna's controlling power. Mohitam nabijanati mamibhya param avyayam. Materially born persons cannot fully understand Krishna. That includes Brahma also. Even the demigods cannot understand him. Muhyanti yat soraya. That's why Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti. Everyone from Brahma down to the small insects must take lessons from Krishna in order to understand him. Prabhupada says. So 16th to 17th verse, Krishna could not find the calves. He returned to the river bank only to find the Gopas also missing. He went to find the missing calves. Now after returning, even Gopas also disappeared, who were sitting right there in sandbanks of Yamuna river. And he was puzzled. Lord Krishna was puzzled. And he was anxiety kicked in. He searched for the calves and boys as if he could not understand what happened. But he understood that this was Brahma's work. An innocent child, as an innocent child, Lord Krishna is searched here and there so that Brahma could not understand Krishna's Maya. This was all a dramatic performance, Prabhupada says. A player knows everything, but still he plays on the stage in a way that others do not understand him. Now, here Krishna was actually playing the part of a distressed actor in a playlet, right? That is what is mentioned. Krishna appeared to be looking for them, for the Gopas. 16th to 17th verse now. It is described the same thing. Vishwabit, the one who knows every single corner of this entire universe, it is his own creation. Krishna is addressed as Vishwabit. That person appeared as if he could not understand where are the calves and where are these cowhead boys. And this pastime is called Brahma Vimona Lila, the bewilderment of Brahma. Brahma was already bewildered by Krishna's activities as an innocent child, and now he would be further bewildered, Prabhupada says. Krishna then expanded himself, right? Tatha Krishno mudham kartum tan matrunam cha kasyacha. In that verse, the verse number 18, it is mentioned thereafter just to create pleasure both for Brahma and for mothers of the calves in Vrindavan and mothers for the cowherd boys who are also in Vrindavan, gopis. Krishna, the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, expanded himself as calves and boys because he knows that they cannot live even for a moment. If their boys are missing, the gopis will lament. Even the cows will lament for their calves. So he expanded to fill the gap. Although Brahma was already entangled in bewilderment, he wanted to show his power. So it is mentioned also Vishwakrut. Krishna is addressed as Vishwakrut in this verse. Vishwakrut Ishvara. It is not very difficult for him. Why is it mentioned like that? Prabhupada says it is not very difficult for him, for he is the creator of whole cosmic manifestation to expand into so many Gopa boys and calves. Krishna created further astonishment for Brahma and for the mothers of boys by establishing the lunch pastimes in the forest again and replacing all the calves and boys just as they had appeared before. Ekam Bahushyam. This is the actual reason for the Vedic mantra Eka Bahushyam. Prabhupada says Godhead can become many, many millions upon millions of calves and cowherd boys, as he did to bewilder Brahma more and more. Krishna then, it is mentioned in the 19th verse, Yavad Vatsapa Vatsakalpak Vapuhu. It is such a beautiful poetry also. You please recite these verses when you get some time. But by his Vasudeva's feature, Krishna simultaneously Sarva Swarupo Bhavo Sarvam Vishnumayam Giro Angavad Ajaha Sarva Swarupo Bhavo. It is mentioned in his Vasudeva feature. Krishna expanded himself into exact number of missing cows, boys, and calves, and their bodily features. He exactly mimicked the bodily features of cowherd boys, so that their mothers cannot detect the difference. Their character, their Veshadharana, the way they get up, their get up is the way that they dressed, and the way they behave, they speak. The characteristics exactly match the paraphernalia that usually they carry, including the buffalo bugle, as well as the flute. All those things exactly were matching their own children. That's how Krishna expanded himself. Krishna thus proved, here Prabhupada says, Krishna thus proved that he is everything and he can become everything. But that still, he is personally different from everything. Matstani sarvabhutani nachasham teshvavastitaha. And here Krishna is always complete. Though he expands to many, it is not that he becomes less in power, less in size, quantity. He still is Purnam. Although he can create millions of universes, all of them full, all with all opulences, he remains an opulent as ever, without any change. Advaitam. Thus, this concept of Advaitam was explained by different acharyas and different bona fide disciplic associations of Vaishnava paramparas, such as uh, Vishuddha Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita Advaita. Therefore, one must learn about Krishna from acharyas, bona fide disciplic section, not from some popular YouTuber, not nor some popular Baba. You have to hear from a bona fide sampradaya. One who follows the path of acharyas knows things as they are. This is the reason why we have to hear from proper sources. Then what happens when we hear Janma karma che me divyam evam yo vekti tattva? Then one can understand Krishna in truth to the extent that is allowed for them, and they get liberated. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiveti mameti so Arjuna. There is no need of taking this birth and death again and again. Once one understands Krishna. And in the next verse, 20th verse, it is described, now expanding himself so as to appear to all calves and cowherd boys, all of them as they were, and at the same time appear as their leader, Krishna entered Vrajabhumi. Now Krishna is entering Vrajabhumi. He himself in different forms, as cowherd boys, calves, and himself started entering Vrajabhumi on the land of his father, Nanda Maharaj, just as he usually did while enjoying their company normally in any day. Right? And this bewildered even Baladeva also. Baladeva also doesn't know that Krishna expanded. See, that is how Prabhupada describes this is Krishna's inconceivable potency. Srila Swarupa Damodara Goswami describes Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikrutir Haladinir Shakti Rasmat. Radha and Krishna are the same. Similarly, Krishna, by expanding his pleasure potency through the Hladini Shakti, becomes Radharani. The same pleasure potency, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibha Visavis, was expanded by Krishna, through which he became calves, through which he became cowherd boys. So these are the sources of transcendental bliss for the Vrajabhumi. These are going to be. This was done by Yogamaya potency and was inconceivable to persons under the potency of Mahamaya. One who is affected by Mahamaya cannot understand the pleasure of this pastime. It is covered. And in the next verse, Krishna, Maharaja Pariksit, Krishna, who had divided himself as different calves and also as different cowherd boys, entered different cowsheds as calves, and then different homes as different boys. So here is also described Krishna had many friends, of whom Sridhama, Sudama, Subala were prominent. Thus Krishna himself became Sridhama, Sudama, Subala and entered their respective homes with their respective calves. Text number 22. Although the mothers of the boys, upon hearing the sounds of the flutes and bugles being played by their sons, immediately rose from their household tasks, lifted their boys into their laps, embraced them with both their arms, and began to feed them with their breast milk, which flowed forth because of extreme love, specifically for Krishna. Their extreme love for Krishna made them attracted, more and more attracted to their own children. Because they have attraction for Krishna, and this is, by the way, this Krishna himself appeared as their own children now. So their love started becoming overwhelming and increasing more and more. Krishna is everything, but at the time expressing extreme love and affection, they took special pleasure in feeding Krishna, the Parabrahman. Krishna drank the milk from their respective mothers as if it were a nectarian beverage. Now, because the milk is filled with affection, extreme love, Krishna could release that as if it is an nectar. Now, in order to please them, Krishna personally took the role of their sons and fulfilled their desire. These elderly gopis uh, were actually having a desire that, oh, what if Krishna himself would be our son? We could feed him, we could take care of him, could love him, pat him, bathe him. Like that, they were having desire, it seems. And Krishna, knowing that, he fulfilled all the desires of all the elderly gopis by taking the form of their own sons. Now, in this Brahma Vimohan Lila, see how Brahma is acting as wonderful, wonderful agent to so that Krishna could enjoy these pleasurable pastimes in Vrindavan. So Krishna expands himself as unlimited boys and calves. Fortune of the mother gopis were described, and what did they do? It is mentioned Krishna returned in the evening, entered the house of each and every cowherd boys, and engaged exactly like the farmer boys. By the way, these verses our Acharya says from I think verse number 23 were actually recited by Brahma. They are prayers of Brahma. I think from 24, I think. Brahma, by witnessing all this, he will realize the greatness of Krishna. Oh my God, I thought I have hidden these boys, and Krishna, this is even building. Where did these cars come from? Where did these boys come from? I already hidden them. So he's humbled by this incident and what he's seeing, and he starts reciting prayers from the next verse till 27th verse. From 24th onwards, it was actually prayers of Brahma. So, oh, Maharaja Parikshit, as required, according to the scheduled rounds of his pastimes, Krishna returned the evening, entered the houses of each cowherd boys, and engaged exactly like the former boys, thus enlivening their mothers with the transcendental pleasure. Mothers took care of boys by massaging them with oil, bathing them, smearing their bodies with the sandalwood pulp, decorating them with ornaments, chanting protective mantras to protect Krishna, their own children, decorating their bodies with tilaka and giving them food. In this way, the mothers served Krishna personally. See, their desire is fulfilled. Thereafter, all the cows entered their different sheds and began mooing loudly, calling for their respective calves. When the calves arrived, the mothers began licking the calves' bodies again and again, profusely feeding them with the milk flowing from their milk bags. Even the cows are desire also fulfilled. They also wanted to feed Krishna in the form of calves. Now they are directly serving Krishna, and now they are under the uh, intimate affection directly with Krishna. That's why cows are also behaving very, very different from their usual behavior. They are having more affection toward their cows now. So increased parental affection is described in further in 25th verse. Their affection for Krishna exceeded even their whose Gopis' affection, the mothers of Gopa boys, their affection for Krishna exceeded even their beyond their own sons. But now that was the case until now. But with this incident, their affection for their own sons is now the distinction between the affection they had for Krishna and with their sons. The distinction is slowly disappearing. Now they started loving their own son also. That is how it is described in 26th verse. Also, every day they found new inspiration for loving their children as much as they loved Krishna. Thus, for 1 year, it happened. This wonderful pastime of Vrindavan Leela, 1 year it continued. Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. Similarly, instead of expanding himself as a super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of the calves and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. That is why Sarvatah Panipadau Tak Sarvatah Shishiromukham. Everywhere is Krishna's feet, everywhere is Krishna's head, everywhere is Krishna's ears. That is how it is described, right, in Bhagavad Gita. This is the actual example of such descriptions given in Bhagavad Gita. We might wonder, how is that? This is how it happens. So, with that, we will conclude today's Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. Thank you, dear devotees. for patiently being in the call. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Sundaracala Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank
It was
you so
wonderful.
much. What a wonderful way of telling us.